All right, guys, welcome to Beyond the Mat. It is Friday, May 6, 2022, the go-home Smackdown show for WrestleMania Backlash at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York. This show absolutely was underwhelming if I ever have seen an underwhelming show. I was expecting things to change, maybe have a little bit of stipulation added to our six-man tag match that we have for WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe add more than one women's match to the card because there's only one currently on there. Maybe make things a little bit interesting. None of that happened. Nothing. We got nothing. We got a little bit of an explanation on why Shinsuke Nakamura ever even came out to get super kicked by the Usos, but that's it. Now he's in a feud with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn wants to run away from him just like he did Drew McIntyre. We'll get to that later. Now, before we even get to the show, I do want to say that I did find out a little bit of information on why they canceled the tag unification to begin with and why they're even doing this six-man match at all with no stipulations. And it all goes back to the fact that WWE introduced this with the intention of actually following through with it. And then as they had the matches with Riddle and Jimmy and Jey Uso, the crowd was super over and super on top of RK-Bro here. They did not want to have to separate the titles from RK-Bro right now because of the fact that RK-Bro is just so over and it wouldn't go over well with the fan base. Orton also lobbied to keep the tag titles on him and Riddle because of the fact that it's been, as he said, the most fun time of his career, and Riddle has changed Randy's outlook on things, and so he had some pull backstage with this stuff. The bigger thing, the big reason why they didn't want to follow through with this was that they realized how over it would be and how beneficial it would be to save this for one of their big stadium shows. So that's part of the reason. Another reason is that they wanted to have Roman and Drew start their feud because they want to give Drew something after he had the pandemic, 300 days of being a champion in front of nobody. He worked really hard. They built him back up, and they want to get him into this feud with Roman, but they don't want him to have their single match just yet because they're only doing an arena pay-per-view here. So adding them into this tag match gets them both interacting, gets their feud started for Drew. They felt like the Usos would not really gain much strength at all having a unified tag belts, just being Roman Reigns' henchmen. It doesn't make any sense for them really to have that because all they are is the sidekicks of the tribal chief. Why the hell would they need to have the unified title belts? Then you also have the fact that as a big company, you really don't want to cater to your hardcore fans. And it's really the hardcore fans that are pushing back on the fact that they changed everything to a six-man match with no stipulations. The regular fans, not necessarily the casual ones, but the general audience is very excited to see Drew McIntyre and RK-Bro, or as he says, RKMcBro, take on the Bloodline in this six-man match because not everybody is as in tune with everything as people like me and other podcasters and other diehard fans. So WWE is catering to the 90% of their fans who don't give a crap instead of the 10% who really, really do. Now, I know everybody's probably a little bit disappointed in the fact that it's not a tag unification, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are also excited to see this six-man match, and it's more appropriate in WWE's eyes to have this match at an arena show and save those bigger matches for the stadium shows. And so that's where they're going with it. There's nothing we can do about it. As we saw tonight, we got no stipulation. There's no weight to the match whatsoever. It's basically a house show main event or a dark match or whatever. There's nothing at all going on here that's going to affect anything unless, of course, something happens during the match that furthers a storyline, which obviously just Drew and Reigns being in the same match furthers their interaction. But without any interference from somebody or anything happening, I don't understand what the hell the point of this is. It's really, really, really disappointing to have six matches on a WrestleMania Backlash card. One of them be a women's match, and the rest of them be a bunch of rehash bullshit from WrestleMania. Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin, Lashley versus Omos, Edge versus AJ Styles, Cody versus Seth. the 6-man. I mean, there's just not enough substance here, man. We have the Flair and Rousey I Quit match, which nobody fucking cares about because Rousey's been an absolute drone out there cutting promos and made all this stuff with this feud totally unwatchable. Now, tonight she showed about as much energy as she's shown the entire time since she's been in WWE, hustling down to the ring to attack Charlotte after she was bullying Aaliyah into the ring. But other than that, I just didn't see anything that came out of this show that made it worth watching, other than the fact that the people at the Nassau Coliseum probably had a great time. I mean, I know people that were there. They said it was electric and fun and everything like that. But on TV, this show came off like a complete dud. So we started off with a little bit of recap of last week's Beat the Clock challenge. Flair and Aaliyah are starting this one out. Flair's out there. She's saying she doesn't know why they call Long Island the armpit of New York. She says she can empathize with that, though, because she was screwed last week because Aaliyah said she quit before the time expired, and that moron Drew Gulak messed everything up. She said the time was going up instead of down. She said she isn't going to make Rousey say I quit at Backlash. She's also going to make her say I quit out of the WWE, which quite frankly I wouldn't be that unhappy to see, because if Flair wins this, I think she deserves it. I think people are way too hard on Charlotte Flair. She's one of the best, if not the best, in-ring performer as a lady in the world. I also think that Ronda Rousey has been totally disinterested the entire time she's been here, to the point where it's insulting to me and the rest of the fans. And having her as a champion would be a travesty. So I'm totally fine with them figuring out a way to make Ronda Rousey say I quit and her going packing. I don't know if that's going to happen. Charlotte sure wants it to happen. She even started singing the nah, 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 hey, 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 goodbye song that Vince McMahon loves so much. So her doing something like that out there and doing things that Vince loves so much, maybe she's the one who's going to go over and win this one, and Ronda will go packing. I don't know. I really don't know what the hell is going to happen. I figured that Ronda would go over and this one would go to the Hell in a Cell. It ended up that Flair sucker punched Aaliyah. This made Rousey start storming out to the ring, comes down to attack Flair. Rousey gets the better at first and sends Flair into the ring post, but then Flair fights back, sends Rousey into the barricade. They continue to maul each other in the ring. 8 agents come out to split them out momentarily. Then Ronda breaks free and charges Flair, starts to mount some punches on Flair, hits her in the kidneys a couple times for good measure. Eventually they get separated. 4 people it takes to separate one woman, 4 people it takes to separate the other, and that one's over. A little bit of heat before their match just to get it some more interest behind this and some more intrigue. That's fine. I'm not that intrigued by it. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I'm sure it's going to be a nice fight. You know, if Ronda actually comes to work motivated, this could be a good match because, like I said, Charlotte Flair is very good. I respect Charlotte Flair a lot, and I think this feud has been beneath Charlotte Flair and made her look worse. And it's all because Ronda Rousey has not participated to the degree that we would expect a babyface to participate in a feud with Charlotte Flair. So at the end of the day, I just want to see a good match between the two of these and a finish that makes sense. If it involves Ronda Rousey winning, I really hope that she has an opponent lined up for her pretty soon that's going to beat her. I can't stand the idea of her cutting promos with that belt in her hand, and I honestly don't see it happening. I think that she's doing this to put over Charlotte more, and that's what they're going to go with. She's going to continue to feud with Charlotte here, at least through this match. Charlotte's going to go over. Ronda Rousey hopefully does go nah, 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 goodbye, because I'm tired of her coming out and putting me to sleep. Now, she did have some energy tonight, like I said, but that's one time out of about 1,000 that she's had any kind of energy. She holds the mic and disrespects us by not even putting any energy into her promos, and I don't like it. I'm tired of it, and I'm ready to move on from this. I'd rather Lacey Evans come out just like she did tonight and be Charlotte Flair's opponent than deal with this Ronda Rousey nonsense. That's about all I had to say about these two. If I say any more, I'm just going to nauseate myself. Plus, I got to do a Backlash preview tomorrow that I will talk about this more with a couple of my friends from the podcast that you all get to hear. Let's move on to Sasha Banks versus Shayna Baszler. This ahead of their tag team title match, which is going to happen next week on SmackDown. I will be in the building for that show, so I'm not sure what I'll be doing about the review next week, but I will get one out to you guys as soon as possible. This one starts out aggressive. Sasha gets a kick on Baszler, goes up to the top rope and hits a top rope meteor right away. That gets a 2 count. Then she steps on Shayna's hand and goes for the stomp, just like Shayna was doing to try to break the arm of Naomi last week. Now, prior to this match, McAfee said that Baszler was a submission magician and that she's actually a real magician. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. But anyway, Baszler turns the tables here. She used the double leg head scissors to take over Sasha, keeping her in an armbar on the floor. This after Sasha already had her in an armbar for a while. A lot of joint manipulation in this match here. A couple long rest hold spots for commentary to put over the feud here. At one point, Natalya gets up onto the apron. Sasha wipes her out, but that ends up giving Baszler the window to hit a nice looking gut wrench tilt-a-whirl slam. Now this was after earlier we saw a tilt-a-whirl move by Sasha coming off the ropes where Baszler actually put her down there. And then later in the match, Sasha was whipped into the corner, jumped up, tried to catch Baszler's head and her legs. Baszler hit her with another tilt-a-whirl slam. So their favorite ride at the carnival must be the tilt-a-whirl, because they were all over the tilt-a-whirl moves tonight. Now, the spot in the corner with the turnbuckle into the tilt-a-whirl slam off the head scissors was actually a pretty nice looking spot there. Sasha sends Baszler out front of the ringside area, then eventually sends her out back ringside area in front of the announce table, hits her with a baseball slide, and then starts banging her arm against the announce table. Naomi's there ringside dressed like a giant big blueberry. She looked pretty freaking funny. Anyway, back into the ring, we got Sasha hitting a running Meteora, goes for a pin, gets a 2 count. Natalya comes up on the apron, but Sasha nails Baszler with a bulldog, then takes out Natalya with a head scissor. When she gets back into the ring, Baszler nails her in the face. They trade a couple pin attempts here, roll up and a backslide, both kick out. This match is pretty good. Eventually, Baszler ends up rolling up Sasha for the win. Natalya holding Sasha's feet on the rope so she can't kick out. Again, pretty good match. It was okay. Good spots. I really like the manipulation of the joints here. The roll-up sequences at the end were a little bit sloppy, as were the sequences where we were throwing Baszler out of the ring. She was sort of tiptoeing. I don't know what the deal is with that. After the match, we had Natalya and Baszler both attack Naomi, but eventually, while Baszler was trying to break Sasha's arm and Natalya was holding Naomi back in a full Nelson position, Naomi was able to hit a roundhouse kick onto Baszler, and her and Sasha hit a double team move on Natalya to get rid of her. And the babyfaces stand tall here ahead of their match, which indicates to me they may be in trouble next week in their title match. I will be at that show. We'll see what happens. Decent match here between these two ladies. Nothing special, but I definitely appreciated it compared to a lot of the other shit that we saw tonight. So now we get a couple backstage segments. I'm not even sure what the hell the point of these were, but we have the Usos first. They're telling Schreiber the time for talking's done. Riddle needs to put his foot in his mouth. And then the Viper, Orton, we like messing with the snakes because we are immune to venom. We'll have some new snakeskin boots after the end of Backlash because we the ones and they the twos. Then we get RK-Bro backstage and Riddle says, I'm confused a little bit. They really think I would put my foot in my mouth? And then he says, but who am I to judge what other people put in their mouths? Orton then cuts him off. He eventually says, here it is. They don't need to worry about their shoes. They will be in the ring with RK-Bro. And Riddle says, yeah, man. So those two backstage interviews, I don't understand what the hell the purpose of them was, because they ended up having to meet in the ring anyway, but it took up TV time and it made no sense to me. Then we get Happy Talk with Madcap Moss. Corbin's basically in the ring, gets interrupted there by Madcap Moss. He says, no one here wants to hear you talk. They just want to hear me tell jokes. He says that Corbin looks like he's trying out for a Pitbull cover band. He then says that Corbin lets tattoo artists try out their worst ideas for him all over his body. He says it looks like Hot Topic threw up all over his chest. Corbin then says, okay, man, you feel safe out there, protected backstage? bet you don't have the guts to come out here and talk to my face. So then Madcap says, funny you should mention that. Madcap comes on out to his music, skipping and yahooing like a freaking bozo. Slips on his way into the ring on the steel steps, nearly falls over. Corbin here is doing a great job of looking embarrassed and pissed off. Madcap eventually says, okay, Corbin, now I'm at your face. You've been all these different versions of Corbin. Maybe your next one you can be is actually entertaining. Or you could go back to the lone wolf, but unfortunately, wolves have hair and you don't. I guess you could just be the big bald wolf. Then he gets the whole crowd to chant big bald wolf. Laughs like a hyena. Corbin rolls out of the ring, tail between his legs, heads back. Madcap stands there and laughs at him. Segment over. This was kind of funny the way that they actually presented Madcap as somewhat funny. But again, the laughing like a hyena and being a goofball is just really hard to get behind. It does give them a little bit more heat going into their match, but it's not really a match that all of us are that excited to see. I think that this match at Backlash is all about Madcap and getting his character over as a babyface, so I see him winning, and I see Corbin losing this match and probably changing gimmicks soon, which is fine. The one thing I'll say about Corbin, you can say what you want about the Happy and the King Corbin, all the different gimmicks that he gets stuck with. They all freaking suck, but the thing is, he puts the most he can into everything that he's given, and I gotta respect that about the guy. So if he gets another gimmick out of this, hopefully it's something that people actually like, but regardless, I'm sure he'll hit it out of the park. And we don't even know what the hell is going to happen. He may maintain the stupid Happy gimmick. But then we see a recap of all Gulak's jobs, the interviewer, the assistant, the timekeeper. Now what the hell is he supposed to be? Well, he's a jobber tonight because he's in the ring. He's got a mystery opponent, and it's Gunther. So Gulak starts out in the ring. See, he has a mystery opponent here. He's got a big smile on his face. Ludwig Kaiser comes on the screen. He introduces Gunther. McAfee says, good luck, Drew. Absolutely terrible news for you. Cole then invites Gulak to come down and be the timekeeper again, or the ring announcer, anything but be in the ring with Gunther. Now, as this match started, the crowd was chanting USA, USA, which is something that's typical when we see Gunther in the ring. We've seen it at house shows and other Smackdowns. Gulak charges Gunther to start out, but Gunther takes control with the big wrist lock, wipes him out with a big-ass chop to the chest, nails him with a couple more chops, eventually gets him to the corner, hits him with another chop across the chest, gets him on the ring apron, brings him in with a headlock, gets him in the middle of the ring with the headlock, and then nails his powerbomb stack pin combo for the win. A little bit longer match here for Gunther on TV, but I was expecting to see more of a match like I saw between Gunther and Mansoor, where Gulak actually got some offense in, Gunther did some selling, and we actually had a real match. This was more of just a squash match against a guy who's actually on the roster. I don't know what the hell the future is for Gulak. I thought that maybe he was going to be involved in the I Quit match, but we didn't get anything about that tonight. Again, nothing about WrestleMania Backlash was changed tonight, which is somewhat predictable because it's hard to change things the night before a pay-per-view or 2 nights before a pay-per-view, whatever it is, because people have already bought tickets for it, and it's just weird to change things. But adding in a match to the pre-show or adding in 1 or 2 women's matches, whatever, that'd be fine. A stipulation to a match that's already happening that we kind of expect would be nice, but nothing. We didn't get anything. Moving on here, we see Shinsuke backstage. He's talking about his issue with the Bloodline, says that they harm Rick Boogs, they tried to harm me, and one day soon I will get a piece of Roman Reigns. I guess this 1 month later, they're trying to explain why he got super kicked by the Usos that time. I don't know. Trying to shut the door on that, because later in the night we see Sami Zayn telling Paul Heyman that Shinsuke Nakamura has been talking crap about Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and that he wants Heyman to relay the message to him. Then we see Zayn with Adam Pearce requesting a match for next week, and Pearce says, why don't you go fight him right now? So he ends up fighting him tonight. Zayn looks really scared to fight him tonight, but ends up accepting the challenge, and we have a match between them later in the night. Before we get to that, we got New Day versus Fight Night in a tables match. Now, of course, this starts out with McAfee saying, "Where the hell is Butch?" And as soon as McAfee said, "Where the hell is Butch?" I knew that Butch was going to get involved in this somehow and appear for him somewhere. And the best place for him to come out of, given his size, is underneath the ring. I knew this was going to happen. I called it. I told my wife. She was sitting right next to me. When he came out, she said, "How do you know?" I said, "Because they're fucking telegraphing this shit." So anyway, the match goes on. We start out with Kofi and Holland, basically Woods and Sheamus paired off. Kofi and Holland head to the ringside area. Woods and Sheamus are in the ring. Woods starts out in control with some punches. Sheamus fights back with an acid drop, but Woods hits a super kick, then nails Sheamus with a running knee. That gets Sheamus out of the ring. Holland then comes up, and Xavier reverses a back suplex. Kofi then comes off the top rope, nails a double axe handle on Holland. They then hit stereo drop kicks. Sheamus pulls Kofi out of the ring, but Woods wipes him out with a springboard crossbody. Real nice looking off the top rope. They use the table as a weapon on Sheamus now, do Kofi and Xavier Woods. That puts him down outside. Back in the ring now, they set the table up. Holland selling in the corner, starts eating some punches from Kofi. They go for a double suplex onto the table, but Sheamus comes in the ring, moves the table, puts it in the corner. He gets rid of Woods out to the ringside area, hits an Irish Curse backbreaker to Kofi Kingston. Then he tries to put him through a table at ringside, but Woods saves him. Holland then charges Woods ringside, but Woods dodges him, sending Holland right into the steel steps. So throughout this whole match, Sheamus was doing most of the work. Holland was getting beat up and selling most of the time. So we could see how green Holland is and how much Sheamus had to carry this. Sheamus then tries from the apron to slam Kofi, but Woods then makes another save, sends Sheamus ringside. Kofi climbs up to the top rope, hits a nice big flying crossbody, gleams through the air right into Sheamus, knocks him down into the timekeeping barricade as we head into a commercial. Sheamus is doing all the work, like I said. Sheamus beating the hell out of the chest of Woods. Then eventually Sheamus and Holland try to send Woods into the table in the corner, but he slips out of the whip. Woods then has Sheamus on the apron and tries to beat his chest. Sheamus reverses it, puts Woods into a crucifix, then drops him onto the apron. Looked pretty painful. Eventually in the ring, Kofi gets Rich Holland onto a table, goes up to the top rope, but Sheamus pulls him down. Sheamus goes for a suplex from the apron, but then gets double drop kicked out of the ring. Kofi then beats the hell out of him outside on the announce table. He hits a Trouble in Paradise to lay out Sheamus. Butch then climbs out from under the ring right as New Day looks like they have an advantage. He starts beating the hell out of Kofi Kingston. Sheamus then hits a knee to Woods' face to stun him a little bit. They get him into the ring, and Hollis and Shaman pick up the win here by lifting up Woods and slamming him through the table in the middle of the ring. After the match, Butch comes in the ring, starts beating down Woods until Sheamus and Holland stop him. This was a decent tables match. Totally overworked by Sheamus because he had a tag team partner who basically did nothing but sell and then help out with the finishing sequence. But New Day did a good job in it. I'm tired of seeing New Day and Fight Night do this shit. They've been fighting since before WrestleMania. Hopefully this was the end of their feud. We don't need to see this anymore. Table matches are always fun. I'm sure they were fun for the people in attendance, but I've had enough of seeing Butch, Sheamus, Holland, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods all on the same screen. We get it. Fight Night's tougher than them. Let's move on now. They've used New Day to get the heat on Fight Night. Let's be done with this. Use New Day for something else or just send them home for a while. Now, earlier on in the night, we had Drew McIntyre tell Schreiber that he and RK-Bro, or as he refers to them, RKMcBro, are going to end up beating Roman Reigns in the Bloodline in the six-man tag match because he's going to kick Roman's head off. Heyman says in response to this, "Are you flirting with me? Are you trying to get a rise out of me? Should I take you out in New York City?" Then we have Sami Zayn come on the screen out of nowhere. Like I said earlier, he says he's got something important. He's very confident in the Bloodline. And as a locker room leader, he heard Nakamura talking about Reigns, and he wanted to make sure that Reigns knew. And he wanted to make sure that Heyman told Reigns that he told him so he would get credit for it. Then Zayn runs into Pierce, obviously, asks for the match, gets set up with the match for Nakamura. Before that, we have Lacey Evans Chapter 5. Again, the Lacey Evans story is very nice. I don't have a problem with it at all. What I have a problem with is the heavy-handed setup by Cole every time and the same tagline at the end of it every single fucking time. Finally, we did get to see her come out tonight, but before that, she tells us about how her father overdosed 2 months before her WWE tryout. Another family member also tried to commit suicide, but she saved them, and another one overdosed right before her first NXT match, but she fought her first match before visiting them at the hospital. She's tried so hard to overcome addiction and be successful. Instead of being excited for her first match, she was broken because of the things that happened in her family, and for years she's tried to stay strong to keep it together, but now it's her time to show the world how strong she is, despite what has happened to her. She questions what these other superstars in the WWE can do to her to stop her that she hasn't already been through, and then ends with the same tagline as she always has, except this time she adds she will be soon the SmackDown Women's Champion. Then we have Samantha in ring saying we have appreciated Lacey's story a lot, and she wants to show some appreciation for Lacey. She wants fans to show some appreciation for her. And Lacey Evans makes an entrance with military entrance music, wearing fatigue pants and some kind of mesh top. Gets a standing ovation, real nice. And we see Lacey Evans for the first time. Hopefully this means that we will not see any more of the promos segments, because let's face it, we've gotten the picture by this time. It's getting a little bit too much, and I want to see her actually fight somebody and not talk about her childhood anymore. Nakamura Zayn. Zayn starts out, tie up, wrist lock, takedown on Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke then flips out of it, gains control, gives Zayn some boots to the face, hits him with a slam, tries for a pin, only gets one. Zayn then tries to escape. Shinsuke goes after him, but Zayn was really baiting him, gets control of the match with some punches, takes Nakamura to the middle rope, chokes him a little bit. Nakamura turns the tables with a rebound knee to the gut, then a step-up enziguri, charges Zayn in the corner, who tries to dodge, but Nakamura slides under him, then hits a really nice-looking sliding powerbomb. Zayn was hung up on the second rope. Nakamura slid underneath the ropes and flips Zayn back for a modified powerbomb. Back in the ring now, Shinsuke charges Sammy, runs right into a big Michinoku driver. Now, this was ugly looking, man. I thought Shinsuke got hurt here because Zayn went to slam him with the Michinoku driver, and Shinsuke's head got hung up on Zayn's shirt, and he landed head and neck first here. You could see him selling afterwards. Now, he was doing a good job of selling anyway, but this definitely was not supposed to go down this way. You're not supposed to land directly on your head. Thank God that they were able to finish the mask, and it seems like Shinsuke was okay, but who the hell knows afterwards if something's wrong with him. It looked bad. So anyway, we go to a commercial because of that, most likely, and then back we have Zayn laying in some punches, then locking in a rear chin lock to slow everything down. They've been working at house shows together, so I anticipated a good, clean match here. It pretty much was, other than that one spot. Nakamura fights out of this by ramming Zayn into the corner, but Zayn gets on the second rope, hits a flying chop for 2, gets upset that the ref didn't count to 3. Then he gets on the second rope again and goes for another chop, but Nakamura hits him with the knee and then an axe kick. Nakamura follows up with a top rope knee to the back of the head of Zayn, goes for a pin, only gets 2. They start to trade some blows. Nakamura gets the upper hand here, then starts getting some kicks on Zayn, runs the ropes. Shinsuke does a nice float over. Beautiful right into an arm bar. Zayn fights out of this, though. Rolls into a pin for a 2 count. Nakamura drops him with another knee. Sets up for the Kinshasa. Then when Zayn finally comes to and Nakamura goes running to hit him with the Kinshasa, he rolls out of the ring. McAfee says, "Hey, is this your finisher move, running from people?" Which was actually pretty funny. Then, on the outside, Zayn catches a running knee to the eye from Nakamura, who then throws him behind the announce table. But Zayn is able to get the upper hand and hit him with the haluva kick right into the timekeeper's area. Now, this whole time, the referee's counting real loud at the side of the ring. He's at 8 or 9 when the haluva kick hits. Zayn gets back into the ring and wins this one via countout as the ref reaches 10 before Nakamura could get up. So as soon as they were ringside and I saw the referee standing there screaming the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 count, it was blatantly obvious that this was going to end in some kind of bullshit countout finish. Now, I think it was actually a decent way to end this match. We've had Zayn being a scaredy cat. Didn't work against McIntyre. does it to Nakamura, ends up getting away with running away from the Kinshasa, sneaking in a haluva kick and getting back in there for the count-out victory. He didn't look like he was comfortable having the match beforehand. This is perfectly on character for Zayn. I like it. I've seen them been working at house shows lately, so they are going to be working in a program here for the foreseeable future, and I think that starting the program this way is not a bad way, as long as it doesn't end up like it did with McIntyre with a million fucking countouts and Zayn running away. He doesn't need to be running away from Shinsuke Nakamura. Have a match. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, a couple months ago, Sami Zayn wasn't that afraid of Shinsuke Nakamura when he won the Intercontinental title from him, so why the hell is he afraid of him now? I don't get it. I don't get why Sami Zayn is now presented as a scaredy cat to everybody. Is it because Johnny Knoxville kicked his ass at WrestleMania? Is that why? I don't get why Sami Zayn is being this way if he's supposed to be a formidable wrestler, which he is. They don't need to make him a goddamn coward in every feud that he's in. I get it with McIntyre because you're trying to heat him up, but you're not heating up Nakamura for anything anytime soon. There's no way. So that match is over now, and we get to our final segment of the night that we've been waiting for. Drew and RK-Bro and the Bloodline meeting face-to-face. Or I should say, RKMcBro and the Bloodline meeting face-to-face. Riddle and Orton come out first, so a nice pop. They got a herd of drafts popping out of Riddle's ass when he jumps into the ring. Drew then comes out and says, Strong Island, acknowledge me. Riddle then cuts him off and says, hey, wait a minute, let's acknowledge some other stuff. I acknowledge I'm Randy's best friend. Randy says, I acknowledge I still have Drew's handprint on my chest from beating him for the WWE Championship. Drew says, I acknowledge that I kicked you 4 times in the head and won it back. Riddle says, let's acknowledge that's all in the past and everything's okay now. And they keep saying acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge over and over again about different stuff. The sky is blue, the grass is green, my ass smells like shit, whatever. And then Orton says, let's acknowledge that the Usos have had their lips permanently attacked to Reigns' ass for the past 2 years. As this happens, we get Roman Reigns finally to enter. Now, he takes his time in the ring. You'd think he'd have a little bit of haste here getting down there to kick some ass. He actually picks up a mic and then drops it. They make their way to the ring. They get in. They face off. His fist starts to go. We got Riddle fighting Jay. Jimmy fighting with Orton, and Drew and Roman squaring off. The heels get the upper hand at first. They get rid of Orton and Riddle. McIntyre takes out the Usos, but then eats a Superman punch by Roman Reigns. They then triple team Drew in the middle of the ring. Riddle comes to, gets in the ring, RKO's Jimmy Uso, then hits a knee on Jay so that Orton can hit an RKO on Jay Uso, and then they distract Roman so that McIntyre can hit a Claymore kick to Roman's head. He rolls out of the ring. The faces stand tall here, and we go off the air just like that. So going into Backlash, we had the faces standing tall over the heels, which indicates to me that the faces are in trouble at the pay-per-view, which to me is actually counter what I thought. I thought that the baby faces would win this match at this pay-per-view because nothing is on the line, and winning the match would then give Drew a legitimate claim at having a title shot with Roman Reigns, and we're not getting any kind of stipulation. It looks like the heels are probably going to go over here given the go-home math, but the go-home math doesn't usually add up for WWE anymore, so who the hell knows? All I know is that I was expecting to see a Becky Lynch match added, a Bianca Belair match added, a stipulation added to this match with the 6-man tag. We didn't get any of that shit. All we got was Lacey Evans making her first 5-minute appearance in front of fans. We got Gunther fighting Drew Gulak, and I thought the Gulak would be involved in the I Quit match somehow, but we didn't get any fucking news about that. We don't know what the fuck he's going to do. Is he getting fired now? Is that why they put him through all this shit? I don't know, man. I'm going to be back tomorrow with a couple of my friends to talk about Backlash and talk about some of the fallout from this shit. But this show, as a viewer on TV, was absolutely a snooze fest. I know it was enjoyable for the fans in attendance. I know somebody who was there. He told me it was great. He was giving me reactions throughout the night. The dark match tonight was Seth and Cody, which is always a treat for anybody to see. But at the end of the day, as a fan of the WWE and somebody who's been watching Roman Reigns be touted to be on every fucking show and then have him punt to the next show for the last 5 weeks since WrestleMania, and alls we get now is nothing on this show that impacts Backlash whatsoever. It's pretty fucking disappointing. I mean, I usually don't do this with WWE. I usually give them the benefit of the doubt. I give them time. I said I'd give them till Monday to do something about this, and I went back on that and said I'd give them till Smackdown, and they let me down. They didn't give me anything, man. But at least I know why now, and I know that that's still something that's in the works. The tag unification thing's going to happen. They're just going to do it at a bigger show. Drew McIntyre here is going to get a nice little run with Roman Reigns that he deserves. Let's all not forget what I said earlier. He was the champion in front of nobody for 300 days during the fucking Black Plague. I mean, this guy, if anybody deserves to have something, some kind of spotlight, Drew McIntyre does. I hope he gets something out of this. But other than that, we got nothing else here. We got Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair going into this I Quit match, getting a little bit of aggressive heat here. And we have Charlotte Flair suggesting that Ronda Rousey just quit after this match. So maybe she will. Maybe this will be Charlotte Flair going over, which a lot of people aren't expecting, because who the hell can ever expect Ronda Rousey to say, I quit? But maybe she's being paid enough to do that. I have no idea. I would like to see something interesting happen in this match. It's really hard to get through I Quit matches without an actual finish. So there's definitely going to be some kind of shenanigans going on in this match. I thought that having Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss on this show at least gave us a little bit more to go into this feud to make us care about it, to make us care about the match, that is, because up until now it's just been, okay, this guy and this guy just split. One of them's a douchebag, one of them's a face, and he's still a douchebag, and they're going to be fighting each other, but who the fuck cares? So now we had a couple cheap shots by Madcap Moss and the crowd cheering him on, so that looks like Corbin wants to fight somebody now. It looks like it's actually worth being a fight. So there's a little bit of story to it, and it makes the fake fight that's about to happen actually worth watching. Not totally worth watching. It might still be a bathroom break for me. I don't know. But it's still something, and I appreciate something. With the Lacey Evans stuff, I appreciate her story very much. I'm looking forward to her making her debut in the ring, but that's where I'm at now. I'm looking forward to her making her debut in the ring. I am not looking forward to another fucking USO ad or whatever the hell she's doing, because as much as I respect the military, and I am a veteran, so I don't need anybody to tell me to respect that. I have been in the military. Okay, but having Michael Cole set this up and set up all this very cheap babyface reaction stuff is a little bit heavy-handed if you're not going to use somebody in a prominent role. So that's what I want to see Lacey Evans do. As far as Drew Gulak and Gunther, I'm all for Gunther continuing to getting pushed. I see him in the IC title realm soon. But having Drew Gulak out there, why the fuck was it not just a regular jobber? Drew Gulak did nothing else other than what a jobber would do, so why even have one of your guys out there and totally embarrass him that way? I really don't get it. I don't get that part. I don't get why last week we had Shotzi and Ronda in that match for the beat the clock thing, and then we have no Shotzi even mention of her this week. I mean, Aaliyah got to be in the opening segment for basically no reason. Shotzi wasn't even seen at all. Is Shotzi done? She got beat in a minute and 10 seconds or whatever last week, and now she's not even mentioned on TV. Have we seen the end of her? I don't know. I don't think we've seen the end of Aaliyah, just for the fact that she was in the opening segment and she was used basically as a vehicle for Ronda Rousey to want to come out and break something up that Charlotte was doing. You know, as we saw, she stormed out to the ring as soon as Charlotte started antagonizing Aaliyah. So what a nice baby face Ronda Rousey was. During this little kerfuffle they had, her eye makeup got so messed up it looked scary, but whatever. Anyway, there's really not much else to say about this episode of SmackDown, guys. I don't have much else for you. I'm looking forward to being able to talk about Backlash with my buddies tomorrow. We'll post that one, and we'll hope for the best, man. I mean, this is what we get with WWE. It's like I was talking about a couple days ago. We get steak dinners for WrestleMania, and then we go back to eating dog food for a little bit, and they build us up to a steak dinner again. Why do we have to eat dog food, though? The dog food's totally unnecessary. I'm patient with storyline building. I'm patient with a lot of different things, but I can't be patient with nonsensical bullshit like turning a tag unification match into a six-man match with no fucking point whatsoever. If I bought tickets to that Backlash show and they changed it and did this, I would be so fucking pissed off. I would have sold my tickets by now. I'll be at Smackdown next week. I'll be able to see the women's tag title match, which is the only match we know right now that'll be on SmackDown next week. Other than that, Kyle, Chris, and I will be back tomorrow to do a Backlash preview show, and we will be off to the races with that. We'll talk a little bit about what happened tonight as well, although there isn't much to be said here. At the end of the day, it was somewhat of a boring, uneventful night, but it was what it was. I have absolutely nothing else of substance to add to this. Just please follow me on Twitter, Beyond Matt WWE. Subscribe on all podcast platforms, and leave a nice positive 5-star review for us. It really helps us. I appreciate you guys as listeners. As always, tune in and turn it up. Tomorrow night, we will be back with a Backlash preview for you with predictions and everything. That should be much more exciting than this. I just wanted to get a quick recap of what happened on SmackDown tonight out for you guys. Other than that, have a great night. Take care of yourselves. Try to get through the fact that it's a little bit frustrating what WWE is doing right now, but we will get through this, and we will have better days ahead of us. More exciting programming coming. It's not going to be totally terrible. We do see some things in the works that are going to be exciting. Like I say, if the tag unification thing is going to happen, we just got to wait for it. We got Drew McIntyre getting ready to do something with Roman Reigns more serious than a six-man match. We just got to get through this weekend, and we'll be there. So everybody hang in there and have a good night.